Hey everybody, welcome back to the Billy Club, the show where we take a look at the adventures of Marvel's red-horned superhero.
He's all red, Nico.
He's finally all red. I am like out of my mind. Like I'm here in reppin', like got the red look. This is the moment. I'm ready to go full Hasselhoff or full Bach. This is so the moment. Mm-hmm. And I am so fucking excited. Well, I'm also Nico, and you guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Nico Action. That's NicoAction.
And I'm Tori Sheehan. You can find me on Twitter at Tori_Sheehan and on Instagram at SM Tori. That's Tori with an I. Nico, wow. It's red.
It's so red. It's so red. And I am like out of my mind with excitement. So at this point, the Billy Club has launched. Mm-hmm. And we have our program out there and everybody can check it out. And we are so grateful for the super warm reception from the Daredevil community upon launch. Thank you guys so much. And we have dual sets of our images because Tori is such a talented artist that we have Daredevil in the yellow costume and Daredevil in the red costume. And I feel like this is like a turning point. Yay! And I'm just so excited.
I'm so happy to see it because, like, to me, this is my Daredevil. Like, this is the red. Yeah. We are ready. I know that on the front cover, like, the red is just like accents, that it's mostly a black suit from the
yeah, right?
But like the horns are right. The mask is right. Like, it just feels so much better. And I guess there's some Aquaman knockoff on the side too. I guess he's here.
Yeah, well, okay. So we're here to talk about the 12-cent Daredevil #7 from April of 1965, which does mean we have had a full year of Daredevil stories at this point.
Wow. And how far have we come?
Well, we are still kind of stumbling in the dark, and that's a very true thing for Daredevil pretty much consistently. You know, we're still in the classic era written by Stan Lee with incredible art by Wally Wood. As you pointed out in our, I'm going to start calling it the Red Room, right? Because it can't be the Green Room.
But it can't be the Red Room.
Oh, you pointed that out. You're right. The dark room, right?
We came to the dark room.
As we talked about in the dark room, right? We have a fill-in from Artie Simek this issue instead of S. Rosen or Sam Rosen on letters. And, oh, man, this issue. Wow. So Namor, man, this is baby's first mutant, and we're gonna see Daredevil get his ass kicked so hard.
Yeah. And so actually let's talk about this mutant thing, because so Namor is a mutant.
Yes.
Okay, so that's why he's the only white boy among a bunch of blue people.
Yeah, so Namor is half human, half Atlantean, and he's a mutant Atlantean. So he can like spend a lot of time on the surface, whereas a lot of Atlanteans are like,
they need
no. Yeah, they want to fish it up. And he's like, nah, I can fuck with the Avengers anytime.
What makes Namor so mad?
Everything. Namor is mad about everything.
Because like that says to me that he's a villain, but I know that he's sort of a good guy.
So there's a lot of discussion about this, and it's a really amazing thing that one of the things I love the most about doing this project with you is your cultural understandings of these characters really helps to inform me what a person who hasn't spent their whole life researching these stories but has enjoyed hundreds of these books by now. I mean, in the course of this show and your own reading, you've read like 1,000 Marvel comics, and you have a strong understanding of the way these characters look from the outside of way too deep down the wiki hole.
Yeah.
And that's so necessary to understanding how people interact with these books. And Namor is kind of one of the first 3 Marvels. Mm-hmm. There are a trio of characters known as the Marvels, like kind of like a trilogy of supers. That is Captain America, that is Namor, and that is the android Human Torch, who is not the one from the Fantastic Four. Right. And yeah, they were the invaders together. and they fought in World War II, and they each had a sidekick. Captain America had his loyal sidekick Bucky until Baron Zemo's dad came and took care of that.
Bucky
And
Bear.
oh, I know, right? So then we have Toro, who is the Human Torch's sidekick. And I genuinely forget Namor's sidekick. Maybe it's just his rage. But Namor really, in many ways, for many people, has come to represent an unfortunate trope of
Eco-terrorism.
The angry foreigner as well. Like, a lot of people see a lot of World War II era Japan, kind of like a lot of that very, I am bound by honor, and these tropes need to be retired, and it is something we've seen. And so in modern day, when we see Namor, he's a little bit more the opposite of Black Panther, whereas Black Panther will do anything to protect his people, but never at the cost of the world. Mm-hmm. Namor is the opposite. He almost seems to want to cost the world to save his people.
Yeah. Because that's the thing, is that he doesn't have any interest in having surface dwellers.
Right.
So that makes sense.
Yeah. And Namor is like Superman strong and fast, and he is a defender. But I mean, like the comic defenders. So, and that's something we are going to look at a lot throughout the course of Daredevil, because he does appear in the title quite a bit. But the comic defenders are very much more like cosmically powerful, super Doctor Strange level, Valkyrie level motherfuckers. And Namor goes toe-to-toe with them and is a member of that team all the time. So he really is like upper echelon Marvel super being.
Gotcha. And it's just so interesting that like he's considered kind of a bad guy because he has his own hyper villainish buddy down in the water.
Oh my God, and you haven't even met any of them.
I haven't met any of them. Poor Lady Dorma is just another girl that gets told, honey. Krang is the most evil.
Oh no, there's Krang is small potatoes. Krang is like, oh my God. I was like, oh, it's not a Tuma. Thank God. I was relieved that it was Krang and not other Atlanteans. So
okay. Concerning. And also makes sense because Namor like listens to them. He doesn't have the like I do my thing. He's like, no, Krang is right, let's go. And I'm just like, bro, no, don't do it.
Yeah, he believes in the royal court, and he believes in okay, and that's even it. So part of what makes this issue so fucking hard to talk about is that like it starts on Namor. It's all about Namor. This could have been an issue of Namor that Daredevil guest spotted in more than any other issue of Daredevil so far.
Yeah, because we 100% are following Namor's arc towards resolution. And for Daredevil, it just sort of seems like he's swinging by and he's just trying to keep the city from falling apart.
Yeah.
So, but the second page where Daredevil's name is on here. Yes. But like with the double horns, it is very hot, but it is much smaller than the words Submariner. So
yeah. And that's been one of our complaints about Daredevil's treatment since the first issue, where the name Spider-Man appears just as large as the words the man without fear. So it's tough. It really is.
Yeah. We're a year in and we still feel like Daredevil isn't the head of his own title.
And it's fascinating because when I look at the cover one more time, Daredevil battles Submariner. There's something very specific about the phraseology Daredevil battles Submariner. It kind of feels like a prize fight announcement, and seeing Namor just like with that punch. One of the things that's interesting on the cover, it's so stupid, but Namor's hands are like aerodynamically positioned, not like a punch position.
I feel like this is a throw, not a punch.
Yeah, like we're just seeing Daredevil get massacred on this cover.
Oh, 100%.
and the whole book seems to be from Namor's perspective. And it's hard because I am not a big Namor guy in general. Not a character I love, not a character I follow. We're going to get to some Khazar issues that fill my heart with glee because I love Khazar, but like I have no patience for Namor. I actually like this Namor appearance. I don't know.
This is the best of the Namor appearances?
Well, there's that time Venom rips off his ankle wings. That's pretty awesome. But
not good for Namor.
Well, no, but I'm pretty good at clear. I'm not really that concerned with what's good for Namor.
Oh my god.
But when he rides those turtles, that sleigh turtle thing is everything to me. I also love anybody who's like, yes, I'm gonna wear a pink cape lined with fur underwater and tiny little green briefs. And if you have a problem with it, oh well, you can suck my conch shells.
It's just like they're all wearing these cloaks in water, and all of them are behaving like there's gravity.
Yes.
And like, yes, but also like they're walking and
comfortably.
They're just comfortably. And like,
and that's even part of where, when we joke about 1960s comics, sometimes lacking the foresight that later because we're never attacking these books for being bad, but when I think about Steamboat Willie and Plain Crazy and those earliest Mickey cartoons, they kind of can't hold a candle in some ways to something like Encanto, right? But there could not be an Encanto without Plain Crazy and Steamboat Willie. Right. So it's not like I'm saying that this was the definition of an alternate society in the 1960s is so terrible, but they are just, what if we make them sort of offensive send-ups? Like, I mean, Krang has a Fu Manchu kind of thing going, and facial hair. This is not what we were looking for then, and it's kind of still not what we're looking for now. They do a better job of it, and it's just 60s-isms.
Yeah, and it's also the fact that I need to cut them some slack for the fact that like fantasy and sci-fi back in the day was less concerned with making it seem like something that could fit into the world today. Like they were just like, no, it doesn't have to work with the idea of Euclidean geometry. Like it's fine. Like it's fine that they're underwater, but their capes don't behave that way. It's fine to have fur that looks like fur. Why would you have fur? Like it's all fine as long as the girls are still told to be quiet and the villainous people still have what is, I guess, villainous facial hair. Like it's all fine.
What I think also lends a little bit of I can make it fine. The same logic that allowed for all of that stuff has Namor just come to the surface and be like, this law office, you will listen to me. Little green briefs. And it's interesting because Namor doesn't have, on these pages, at least in the law office, he doesn't have the body or the face of a villain.
No.
He looks very much Charles Atlas, very the prime man. And that's sort of humanizing compared to what I feel like is a much crueler presentation of him on the first few pages. And it is a place where I think the art does show some real strong mastery of subtlety before subtlety was the name of the game.
Yeah. And I have a question. Is Lady Dorna is his love interest, right?
I have to be honest, I can't place if she's his love interest or mother at the moment.
Cool.
Yeah, probably love interest. I'll be honest, like the truth of the matter is when you're talking about 800 issues of Daredevil And you're talking about 3,000 characters and these sort of minor footnotes. Like Namor is going to show up 5 more times ever in Daredevil. And it's not that I don't love Daredevil stories that feature sort of one-off characters. But like I said at the start of this, Namor isn't somebody that I super am concerned with in terms of the bigger picture of Daredevil either way. Like we're going to stop over in Spider-Man a few more times to find out what's going on with our precious Wilson before he becomes, our Wilson. But we're not going to worry again about Electro. And that's kind of the haunt of this early DD. It just had no idea what it was trying to be.
Exactly. Okay. Because like she is the first we haven't had a whole lot of females is what I'm trying to say. And Lady Dorna is currently the one that has had the most, I guess I want to say agency, but mostly I just want to say word count. So I was just interested in like, what is her deal? Why is her midriff so exposed, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm fascinated that Karen can spot a dangerous man in briefs from 30 stories up and 600 yards away.
And it's all that commotion and he's so arrogant. Like she sounds turned on.
Yeah, she is full on turned on. And if I were Matt, I would be concerned about like, why does the girl who wants to fix me seem so interested in Danger Man?
He is so supremely confident of his power. Oh my God. I heard her get pregnant. Like,
yeah,
that is wild.
Yeah. He's like, Karen, what do you see? What do your elf eyes see? Like, oh my God, have we entered a pentagram? Is that where we're going with this? Where Namor is now here for the girl? Like,
I would believe it.
Good Lord. He also does a number on their elevator. So like, honestly, if I was the landlord of this building, I'd be like, Nelson and Murdock, you're costing me too much money in construction bills. So get out.
Yeah. They're constantly losing walls. Yeah. Like forget doors. Cases.
The insurance must be through the roof.
If there's a roof left, like, come on, there's been helicopters. I do like that Namor. So where Matt is like, okay, I get that she felt arrogance, but like I felt honor and I sensed that he was a cool dude. So maybe we can talk about it. Maybe that's something we can do. And I'm like, okay, that's one of the things I like about this book. That's one of the things I like about this Daredevil, that it's so stupid, but he can sense your honor.
I'm glad you like it. Because
I don't. No, what do you do?
It's so fucking dumb. It's so dumb. You think honor has a vibe?
I think it has a ping. It has a unique ping.
I think that you could talk to me about my radar senses that his shoulders are pulled in such a way that I can tell that he is a man on a mission. And I'd be like, yeah, okay, if I follow that. And he's just like, I sense he has honor. And I'm like, you sense bullshit.
Yeah. Okay. Well, okay. But I'm still operating that this is the book where Daredevil gets stronger when people believe in him like a fairy. So like, this guy's doing stunts with airplanes. So it's one of those situations where the biggest, craziest part of this is Namor comes to the surface and has demands of the surface dwellers that he's giving to this tiny little lawyer man.
Like, he doesn't even ask to like see your leader. He doesn't ask for the mayor, the governor, the president, or even like the commissioner of the Sea and Port Authority. Like, no. He's just like, I'll take that one. I'll try to win this in a court of law, but the way that I want to do it, not the way that you should actually do it.
Which is one of the things that I think makes this book, again, work for me. It is ridiculous, and that's fine. The big thing about this issue isn't the plot. And that's been a theme with a lot of these early Daredevil issues. The big thing is what this reveals about Daredevil in comparison to another person.
Yes.
And, you know, you read this and it's sort of like, okay, I understand that at some point, someone lesser than Superman is going to try to challenge Superman. And Superman is going to lovingly hold him back. Namor seems like the kind of guy that would swat him away. So Namor not just killing the shit out of Matt Murdock and Daredevil over and over again. We see this guy take on the entire National Guard on one panel.
Yeah, he is something else.
And that he just lets Daredevil go because Daredevil deserves to survive with dignity. Like, that's what I like about this. You know, I'm not sure why they thought cool new red costume. Let's only show it in blue for a few panels.
We'll get there. I would also like to comment on the fact that Foggy's a redhead, just like Matt today. And honestly, because you don't see Foggy's face on this page 4, like it's hard for me to know who's talking. I have to look for tiny sunglasses on the side of their face to figure out who's talking.
Yeah. And that's, you know, not enough model to reference.
Yeah.
It's definitely a curse.
It's awful. So we're just, and then he goes on this horrible, Namor goes on this horrible dash through the city, and like, the red suit looks so fucking good. I'm sorry.
So right. No, it looks so good.
I don't mean to keep harping, but it's just like,
it kind of lends a visual to Daredevil that, like, because it's what we associate with Daredevil, that's what we expect. It's one of the things that I think we never really think about anymore, but a character's costume is such a part of their programming where you really have trouble redesigning a look because then it just doesn't feel like that time in your life. It doesn't trigger the other senses and the other smells and the other thoughts. And this is Daredevil for so many of us.
Yeah, it's like why weren't we seeing Wanda wearing the Scarlet Witch outfit through all of the movies? Oh, because she's not there yet. You know, when season 1 of Daredevil, when he finally gets the suit, as opposed to just being like the Man in Black, like you're just like, yes, this is it. This is the time. This is now. So yes, we are all playing This Is the Moment in our heads from the Jekyll and Hyde musical. It's fine. We're fine.
It's great. It's great in here. I love it in here. So, you know where I don't love it? I don't love it in a world where we are on our like 7th issue of Daredevil and like our 8th plane trick. Talk about plane crazy. This is plane crazy.
How many planes? How many planes were flying this low over NYC that weren't the traffic cam, like the traffic copter? Like, is this really what the world was like pre 9/11? That planes were just like chilling? A propeller plane was just coming through?
Like that close to a building? I feel like I would have seen Don Draper be like, low flying plane today.
Yeah, like, come on. Like, and also like, this is what the Air Force sends? A propeller plane from 1932? Like, seriously. I know we had jets. I know we had them.
I'm so glad the Wright brothers could find a quick moment to lend us their plane. This little fucking single engine Cessna over here is going to save us from the scary man.
But also now I'm just like imagining like someone looking out the side of the window and being like, well, there's a devil on the wing. No, there's not. Yes, there is. And then it's just, you know, nightmare at 30 feet.
It's nightmare at 30 feet as the devil man jumps off of the plane, which is made all the more ridiculous because he's like, yes, I can safely navigate this with this plane because the sound of the propeller is so loud. No,
that's not how you work.
From now, it would debilitate him.
Yeah, to the point where he couldn't even hold on because it was attacking him so much.
Yes. We are so far from Daredevil, but we're strangely close. You know, we get a lot of like butt shots, and butt shots are pretty Daredevil.
They're pretty solid. Pretty solid.
Yeah, you know, Matt's got the best ass in male superheroics, always does.
Ooh, girl.
You know, there is something so fascinating about the fact that this issue specifically goes out of its way to have sequences by land and by sea and by air. That's something that I'm maybe really starting to recognize a little bit more about these books, is perhaps the reason that we did get 3 segmented parts of the fight is because they wanted to be able to show multiple things, and it's easier to create unique locations, generic outside, generic down on the ground, generic underwater. You just need, you know, fish in the background. It doesn't need to be like a specific skyscape of fish.
Yeah. But I mean, this is I would say one of our most dynamic fights to date.
Oh, for sure.
It's so much fun. It's so much, we get to see a lot of what the duality of Daredevil's abilities, which is both outthinking and outpunching. And both of them fail. So that's fun.
Terribly.
So, but I do like these fights, and I feel like I am deeply concerned for Daredevil's ability to get out of this one the whole time. Like, I'm 100% aware of Daredevil's not going to be the one to win this. Daredevil's going to be the one to limp away from this.
And that's the thing that makes Daredevil such a compelling hero. And it's something that's really funny, and why a lot of writers and artists have said that Daredevil is like their least favorite to work on over the years. Whether it's Phil Jimenez, who says that he's not a big fan of drawing Daredevil, which shocks me, or it's, you know, my precious Garth Ennis saying that Daredevil is the worst hero in the Marvel universe. It's because he's the Punisher guy. So, you know, I feel like that's actually what makes Daredevil work for me. I like that he's not going to win every fight. I like that he's going to get his ass kicked. It's just, this is one where like I'm legitimately worried for him.
Yeah, and usually as we go further and further towards the 80s, we're going to find that we only really become worried about Matt when he's still bleeding from his last fight.
Yep.
Like, if Matt's at 100%, he's good, but Matt just keeps getting hit and hit and hit and hit, and then eventually he gets down to 60%, and then you're like, okay, like, is he gonna, what, like, is Wilson actually gonna kill him this time? Because that could happen. And so it's very interesting right now to see Matt at like 100% and get his ass kicked.
It's one of the reasons that Bullseye is such a great villain for Matt. You know, he's roided out and he's jacked as hell, but he's mostly a stupid marksman. I recently joked that Bullseye is kind of like the best of the assassins, but he's kind of like the worst of the assassins, right? And that's what Matt needs. Matt needs someone who is just like an unstoppable fucking killing machine that he can go up against without having to, because Matt could never fight Namor again. And that's what this shows right here. Matt's best hope is holding on to the guy. We see Namor bend steel, rip apart shackles, and doesn't even bat an eye. Like, nothing seems to put Namor out of breath here. The only times Matt gets up on Namor's like, it's my fault. I wasn't paying attention, and I let the little Earthman touch me.
Yeah, but like, it is also very nice to see the endurance of Daredevil, the stubbornness of Daredevil, the get up off the ropes of Daredevil. Like, it does make you be like, all right, like, it's not easy, but we can keep punching. Like,
we
it is
never give up. Yeah.
So it's real cute. But once again, we are back on an issue where Daredevil fights a guy and then he defends a guy. And the guy, for some reason, Namor hasn't put 2 and 2 together on this one. Again, people keep being like, oh, I'm here at Nelson and Murdock, and then Daredevil shows up. Weird.
And Namor is super fucking smart. Like, specifically, he's like smart. Like, he's no Amadeus Cho, but he is a motherfucking brainiac. So the idea that, you know, Reed Richards didn't figure it out the minute he met Daredevil, the idea that Namor doesn't figure. If you're in the Illuminati, then you should know who Daredevil is the minute you meet him. It is frustrating to me that Namor, you know what, dude, just go back to fucking wearing those green briefs. I don't know what to tell you.
I'm gonna let that Illuminati thing go because I feel like I'm about to get spoiled for Multiverse of Madness, so I'm gonna not.
I have to assume they're going to be horribly different because most of the characters necessary aren't even in the MCU. So
yet.
Yeah. You know what? We got that No Way Home surprise. That was the craziest thing I've ever. He's a very good lawyer, and but here he's a terrible lawyer.
Yeah, well, no, hold on. He's a good lawyer. He's got a shitty client.
Okay.
Because this is the most we have seen Matt Murdock in the courtroom, I think. He does a little bit with Owl, but I'm very much like, this is a lot of court guy. And so to me, this is an opportunity to showcase him, and he seems pretty competent. He just has a shitty client.
Okay. And I'm even going to raise that a little bit further. I love that you were like, well, you made me think about the courtroom scene. Mm-hmm. Namor is sitting with the shirt over his shoulders like a fighter.
Yeah.
With the jacket on. Mm-hmm. And they're going up and they're sparring, mm-hmm. and there's a ref presiding over it. Mm-hmm. And yeah, you know what? Here I feel like Matt is a lawyer by way of fight coach. And okay.
Yeah, I'm into it. And then the girl comes back, Lady Dorma comes back, and she's like, "Hey, P.S. Your evil henchman has taken over. Come home."
Krang.
And that's the thing here. Is that there's a part of me that was like, why didn't we see this rebellion? Which is weird for me to say because Daredevil has nothing to do with it. So why would I be so interested to suddenly be like, oh yeah, so let's go to that rebellion? There's no reason for us to go there in a Daredevil title, and yet.
Well, because it's someone else's story. Yeah. This is definitely from the age of writing comics where there were 12 characters. And if they didn't have the book, they appeared in the book. So it became their story. And the thing that this tells me is it's sort of like you either got the plot or the characterization, because I don't think, we've made it pretty clear that we don't know too much about Namor in the first place, but I don't think either one of us learned anything new about him here, right? You even had a limited cultural understanding and felt like you didn't see him grow much. I know what I know, and this is all just more Namor. The person who did a lot of growing here is Daredevil, and it's almost like his status went up. It's almost so I'm with you that I would have wanted to see that rebellion, because the rebellion is the story, but we made a trade to instead learn about our titular hero, and that's a really complex negotiation of editorial precedent and design that, guys like Stan Lee just don't get enough credit for understanding how to do back in the day.
Yeah, for sure. And I definitely feel like this is also when you say that, he gained status, this is definitely the new kid on the block going up against the veteran who can fucking destroy you in the ring and losing eventually, but making it to 5 rounds. And
yeah, you don't have to outdrink him. You just got to do a couple shots too.
Yeah, and it's like we knew you were gonna win, but you lasted a really long time, and that's surprising. Let's get you some more people to fight.
Yeah, now he can move up in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I don't want to see him take a punch from the Thing, but I could see him dodge one.
Yeah, for sure. He could. Karen continues her world of pussy bows, but at least her bouffant is gone. That's nice.
Karen plays the most fascinating role in this issue, in that I think she might have the third most dialogue of anyone.
She talks a lot in this one, but I think it's because someone has to be completely on Namor's side without knowing without being mad.
Okay. Yeah.
She
That's interesting.
we need someone to be like, no, Namor's a good dude, or else we're just going to be like, no, he's a villain, we should punch him. We need to see like we need to feel like there's a reason behind him, because he has the Submariner is a title, right? It was a title of a series in Marvel, right? Like at some point he had his own thing for like a long time.
Namor's had probably a good 200 issues under his own banner,
which is so strange. I mean, I guess Loki gets a bunch of them to himself, but like what other villain, quote unquote, gets that many titles to themselves?
It's sort of funny because I love that that's such a fantastic perspective, because if I had to compare someone, it would probably be Elektra. 100 issues to herself at this point.
But would you have ever called her a villain? Like, does she, like when she goes up against, I guess she sort of fulfills that like neutral.
But you're right, because she's not evil and like
she's not trying to take over the world. She's not trying to destroy humanity. She just wants to steal some stuff, make Matt sad, and like occasionally get paid.
Loki is only ever a good guy when he hosts a book. Right. And that's sort of, I think, the thing of Namor too. When he does have, you know, a Namor book or a Submariner title, he's usually the protagonist against his own initiative. He much more frequently plays an extended role in the Avengers or the X-Men than has his own book. But you're really, really right. When he's a regular character, when he is a focus, he is a good guy. Right. And anywhere else, he's much more like this. That's a really interesting perspective.
Yeah. So we need someone in here who isn't Namor to remind the reader of like, you know, he has a point, or, you know, he is handsome enough to give him the benefit of the doubt, which was still kicking around back in the day. And so I think that, you know, next to Foggy's very loud suits that are also doing a lot of talking, Karen's like putting herself forward is also, I mean, we could go into the idea of maybe Karen getting to have this much conversation is also her wrestling with the fact of like, I'm interested in a second superhero. What does this mean for me? Like, I'm defending him against the guy that I'm super interested in. Why am I doing this? Like, what is it about this guy? And also like, you know, she might also still be reeling from the Purple Man incident. Like, there's a lot of things that could be happening here that are not happening here, but could be happening here. So
and I'm with you that it probably can't be Foggy, because that would be like the ultimate cuckening. Yes. And it would be a step too far. It would like 1000% be Beta Boy.
Foggy cannot like a superhero more than Daredevil, and he can't like Daredevil.
I agree.
Because that's really where he falls. Karen likes Daredevil and Matt. Foggy doesn't like Daredevil, but likes Matt. And if he starts to like Daredevil, then what's the point of having them both? Truly.
And I'm also going to make a weird statement. I feel like sometimes we don't give enough credit to people having an attraction to something that is just not what they're used to. Like, you know, as a guy who spends a lot of time at the gym, when somebody puts up big numbers, you'll see guys that they're not interested in men, but like, wow, that's really fucking impressive. And if you were to add in the possibility of a sexual attraction by virtue of interest in that person, you know, potentially, you know, so Karen is just like, here's a man in the repressed 60s where instead of being in a suit and tie or being a hippie or whatever, he is naked walking through the street, and he's not, and while he is othered, you know, while he is specifically meant to represent, you know, sort of the foreigner coming in, he is very white. He is not some sort of uncomfortable black analogy that they don't quite understand. He's just a different kind of white analogy that they don't quite understand. And I wonder if some of this is the confidence on this man walking around in these briefs.
Yeah. And I think it's also, and I think it's also the idea of a man with a calling.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of people have a lot of competence kinks. Like a lot of people are looking for someone who just isn't like the guy who's just going to go to work, come home, go to work, come home. They want someone who's got something underneath them. And that's why she's following a pair of lawyers who are in a shithole in Hell's Kitchen, because she's like, they have a calling. You want that extra something that's going to push you forward into greatness.
Yeah.
And she's into that. So of course Namor would be like dinging all of her things where she's like, ooh, he's dangerous. Ooh, he can't get what he needs, so he's a little bit broken. Ooh, he knows what he wants. Like, and he's got them abs. Like, she's like, oh yeah, this dings all her things.
It dings him hard. And I don't blame her, because there is something about the way they present Namor here that I do like. Like, I said that right from the start. Not that I'm necessarily like, oh my God, Namor, take the book. But like, I really think that this issue also gets like visual beats that make me like it more. Like we talk about trailer music programming us to have certain emotional experiences because there's specific elements used. It's why they purposely didn't update the Yoshi sound file in Mario games for like 16 years, because they wanted it to keep having that reaction. Like, so it stayed that exact thing. So it always hit that button in your brain. And we're finally getting there where the Daredevil shadow behind Matt is so natural. It's the best it has looked so far.
My God.
To the point where I screenshot it. So good.
Because you see the man shadow in the previous one with his Louboutins, I guess, because he's got red bottoms. But like, and then the next panel, it's just like behind him is the Daredevil waiting, and I was just like, it's such a tiny panel, but it's so perfect and so everything that Daredevil is going to become.
Yes, and I feel like seeing those moments, like, oh my God, the following pages with the moving through the red smoke, with the blur effect on Namor and the smoothness on Daredevil. This is the book, and this is where Wally West is the father of modern Daredevil.
Wally Wood?
Wally Wood. Wally West is the Flash. So I gotta go. Oops. But man, that Miley Cyrus moment where he comes in like a wrecking ball.
He comes in
about
like
this
a wrecking ball.
I just love the art on this issue.
It's a great, like I said, these are great fights. This is great. And it's also that the fights, they're heightened and they're dramatic, but they're not using a tire to sling an engine. Kind of ridiculous. Like, does he hitch a ride on a plane? Yes, but like at this point, we're pretty sure Daredevil can hitch a ride on anything that moves. So like, that's fine. It's fine. We're used to that. But like, Namor lifts a Jeep. Daredevil doesn't lift a Jeep. Like,
Daredevil throws engines, but Daredevil doesn't lift a Jeep.
Yeah, exactly. So, sorry, I had a note in here that was like, when the armed forces were like, don't shoot, Daredevil's down there. And I was just like the armed forces of the United States would give a flying fuck about someone they didn't know and couldn't control. No, Daredevil is a casualty at best. Yeah, and also he's in a red suit. Is he even a citizen? Who knows?
Exactly. I'm sure they love the idea of people coming in and being like, no, I'm the law now. And like, because, you know, armed forces are so famous for willingly surrendering all power at all times to an unknown adversary.
And like, yeah. So I was just like, this is so fascinating. So fascinating. And also like the fact, I don't know, man. I think this fight is so cool. The use of the crane, the simple colors that are also still like purples and peaches and blues and like all of this fun work. like it's hard because like the entire time it's just Daredevil being like, wow, it's incredible what he can do. Wow, this is wild. How am I going to survive? And I'm like, buddy, you better concentrate a little more on that surviving,
Yeah.
and a little less on the wonderment, because you're about to die.
And
Hardcore.
like, just like a New York thing, like, can't you just imagine this happening on Chelsea Piers? Like, that's where I see this happening, right? Down by the shooting, the
Bullmore,
yeah,
and yeah.
like that's where I see this happening.
Shooting range. He means shooting range, not by where there's a shooting.
No, yeah, yes, I see.
New York.
Let's hear it for New York.
Yeah, let's hear it for New York. The reaching and then the and he falls. It's so precious.
That black and white panel. Holy shit. Everything about this issue's art is just like this issue has like the best art so far, by far, bar none. And it's just, I'm so happy that Wally is still on the title for at least another issue or two after this, because like there's just, he really gets Daredevil. I don't know. This whole issue is about a fighter who won't stay on the ropes.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so good.
Yeah. And Namor gets away. He gets to go home. I don't know why he doesn't have diplomatic immunity in general, but like, whatever. And then we get the love triangle wrap up,
which moves the love triangle forward in a big fucking way.
God, just throwing herself at him. You'll trip. Oh no, she catches Matt. You caught me. How did you? Oh, Matt, you can't run around like that, Matt.
And now he's like, I gotta hide better.
Yep. I was careless. And then meanwhile, Foggy's just like, looks like Nelson and Murdock lost a client. And I'm like, buddy, you were like gonna marry this girl. Like,
dude, you're
can you pay
attention?
Oh, well, also that. But like
you're poor as shit, man. You're never gonna land this woman or another woman because you can barely keep walls on your business.
You're also going to lose the girl because she's staring deep into the unseeing eyes of your best friend,
who is so hot in that lower left panel.
My God, like, this is what I mean. Like, Matt, you like narrow the jaw a little bit, but you thicken the neck, and you just like a little bit of fringe, which is not what the rest of his hair is doing in the rest of this page, but it's fine.
It's fine.
And just like the little eyebrows coming up from behind the glasses, you're done.
Fucking looker, man.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Like,
and
the cleft chin and
that like those perfect lips with the
Okay.
he's just so dreamy, and then Foggy is just fucking schlubby.
But that's so interesting because like Foggy in the 60s is not schlubby. He's actually just like a solidly built dude. Like he's trim, he's fit, he's got the going on, and he's just a dude. And then they schlubby him up later when they're like, oh, you kind of need to be less of a hot guy and more of a I guess so guy.
Speaking of I guess so, that pinup in the back is super cheesecakey, number one. But number two, it's labeled Namor and DD, not DD and Namor in DD's book.
Well, who's in the front and who's in the back?
Yeah, I mean, Daredevil is literally crawling on a stick.
Begging. He's begging.
He's like, he actually kind of looks like he's reaching out for his hand. Don't leave me.
Basically.
Yeah, I don't know. All said and done, I think this is a dumb issue that's great. You know, that's
really fun.
Yeah. And it's the kind of issue that makes me not think the 60s are altogether the roughest era.
It's true.
Daredevil Yellow is a really great way to shorthand a lot of this stuff, but there really is a lot of sweet to be mined from this
Yes,
era.
and a lot of magic and a lot of really good storytelling and gorgeous art. And it's not like there's like a 40-foot robot on stilts running around. Like that would never happen in this world.
Yeah. You know, I love Stiltman.
Is up next.
Oh, but before we get to him, I have some letters.
Oh, yes. Let's tell the editor some letter magic.
Well, first of all, this same month saw the release of Fantastic Four number 38, Spider-Man number 24, Avengers number 15, an issue of Strange Tales, Tales of Suspense number 65, Tales to Astonish 67, and Sergeant Fury 17, which is described as the war mag for people who hate war mags.
Cool.
So, Neil Kane from 5128 Castor Avenue, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, from back when you could dox a child, wrote, Dear Stan and Wally, I prefer Daredevil swinging by his cane, not by a rope. While Daredevil was fighting the Matador, the crowd interfered with his radar sense. Please don't let this happen again. It weakens Daredevil too much. As for the vote on whether Daredevil should stay blind, I say yes, he should remain blind. I love Karen, but I'm afraid to tell her this is how I must go on. It will make this mag one of two soap opera comic books. One is Tales to Astonish, and now Daredevil. So please don't do that. Neil Kane.
Neil, buddy.
I don't even know what to say.
What? Were we really gonna take Matt's... Were we gonna give Matt his sight back for realsies?
I have to assume it was something that Stan just threw in the letters and people ran with.
Or maybe they thought that because Karen was hinting at it so much that they should get a say?
Well.
Oh.
Speaking of people who want their say.
Oh, do tell.
Dear Stan and Wally. What's the matter with you guys? Marvel makes great mags, but I think you guys need your heads examined. Daredevil may be new, but he already proved himself worthy of becoming an Avenger. The Avengers need more men for their group. The ones they have are great, but the Wasp is sometimes messing things up.
Wow! Sorry, I should back up for the microphone for these reactions.
On Daredevil, I think Wally West's artwork is the best.
Wally Woods.
Oh, I did it again! He ought to have his own art show on TV.
This is true.
I don't think you will be able to top Daredevil with anyone else.
I mean, I think he can get topped by a lot of people, but that's okay.
What I really love is that they, in their letter reply, recommend that this guy reads Millie the Model.
Hey, Nico, what's Millie the Model?
Oh, so Marvel used to have a line of young romance female targeted comics in the 60s about their 1950s characters who were all young female professional romance leads, Millie the Model and Patsy Walker, who would get brought back as Hellcat. And she's like a 1950s romance lead and has had hundreds of issues of her own titles.
They had It Girl comics?
Oh, and they bring them back all the time. A couple of years ago, Tim Gunn was in a refresh one called Models Incorporated. Those characters all got written into Mary Jane's world. And Mary Jane had a line of like fashion comics.
Yes.
And there's a really cool history for characters like Millie. And Millie still appears in Marvel now.
Interesting. We're going to have a conversation about this later.
Oh yeah, no, this stuff's amazing. It's like people don't understand how 1950s romance comics are the only reason that Marvel stayed alive. and like that stuff is beloved, and they do reprints of it and omnibus editions. It's worth looking at for sure.
Interesting. Wow. They need more men. The Wasp is a bit shit.
I don't even know what to say to that one.
I know. You're a big Janet fan.
Yeah, and that's like the hard part. Like, I'm a huge Janet fan. So like, I mean,
we'll kill her off soon. We'll deck her a few times. It's fine.
Oh my God. And that's sort of the thing about the mindset of the 60s. Guys really were, I mean, they still are, but guys were writing in like, the women are messing things up. Get the one woman on the one book that's got one woman off the one book. Like, there were only two female superheroes back then. There was like Wasp and there was Jean Grey. And one was the diminutive of a different bug person, and one's name was Girl. So, there was Invisible Woman, honestly. And I did not mean to discount Sue.
It's hard to see her.
I can't possibly top that. There's no better. We gotta go. There's nothing left to say. We get to come back and look at Wally Wood draw Stiltman for the first time. It's those hydraulic legs, man.
Stiltman's is it Daredevil original or Stiltman? Okay. All right.
Yeah, he's DD's roughest rogue.
Well, good for him.
I would like it if Stiltman opened up a cannabis dispensary because he's already so high anyway. So figure, now's the time.
No. Turn it off. Turn it down.
Fine. Well,
where can we find you, Nico?
You guys can find me over here on this amazing show, which I'm so proud is finally coming out. And you guys can find me over on X's for Podcast, where I am part of a team talking about X-Men and Marvel Comics at large every week, as well as over on Twitter and Instagram at Nico Action. That's NICOACTION.
And I'm Tori Sheehan. You can find me over on the Twitters at Tori_Sheehan and on Instagram at SMTori, and sometimes over on X's for Podcast, where I'm getting spellbound regularly. All right, Nico, we've had a good time.
Nothing left to do but
stay fearless.
Stay fearless.
Yeah.
I love when we get it.
I do too. It's nice. It's almost like we know what we're doing. Like we've been doing this for a year, which we haven't, but Daredevil has.
1 year.
1 year in, folks. Light a candle.